I like the
Pressure?
way that you can
Like,
downplay a lot of things I do. I am very romantic,
no.
by the way. You should go on the streets of Kampala and look for men. Hi there, I'm Timothy.
And I'm Rich Gold, and
welcome
welcome to episode
11
of Relationship Notes and Stories.
How have you been, honey?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am well.
I feel like we have a story somewhere in there, but maybe it will come at the end.
It will come at the end.
How are you?
I'm well, I'm good. Been a busy week, very, very busy week. And I'm really
chilly as well.
excited. Yeah, a bit chilly.
Yeah, a bit chilly.
But it's good to be chilly. Because, man, in Uganda, when it's hot, it's hot. When it's
Yeah.
cold, it's something else.
Yeah.
And how are you with some more detail?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you've learned from recent events.
Okay. So
Otherwise, I'm okay. But I remember in the some of our last conversations, you were talking about how there's some certain elements that affect a relationship or that can bring in challenges. And I think you mentioned comparison as one of them. Would you like to take us deeper?
maybe let's just talk about last week, the last episode. So in the last episode, we went a bit deep and cut through into some of our inner bits.
Yeah.
And we talked about our relationship and marriage in the first few years where we had gotten to a place where we were almost...
First few months. You said years.
Yeah, few
Years,
months.
yeah.
Was it months? I thought it was like at the 8th or 6th month.
I don't know.
Yeah. Where we talked about almost becoming roommates.
Or becoming, yeah.
Yeah. And we were feeling that one of the people reached out to me, one of our viewers, and actually said they could feel the heat while they were watching. And I was like, which heat? Then they said, no, it was just a totally fresh take and a totally different direction on hearing people being vulnerable about marriage and how if you don't nurture it and put effort into it, it starts to slip away into that line. And so one of the things that crossed my mind is how people have a comparison that comes in, like what you're saying. And I wanted to know from you, do you feel like we have ever been affected by the comparison thing?
Well, but there's comparison when you're dating, and there's comparison in marriage, I think. I don't know about your experience. I don't feel like I have been in a situation where I have feelings of comparison or like, I don't know how to explain it. Do you think I have?
I think you have. I think the thing about comparison is sometimes it is not expressed, but it's present within. Like, for example, let's say I'm a bad timekeeper.
Yeah.
And you're a timekeeper. And then we have a mutual friend who is a timekeeper as well. You sit there and unknowingly you're like, I wish you could just be like your friends. Why don't you borrow a leaf from your friends? Don't you think that's an element of comparison?
Then we'd have to define comparison, because I was even going to ask you that I thought there's where I am aspiring to be better or looking up to a couple, looking up to a particular person in order to be better, in terms of aspiration, inspiration, and things like that.
Then that's
but
still
comparison, no, but you see, that's
okay,
more
how
like,
do you define comparison then?
that would be more like, what is this person doing and where are they at in life, and what is it I like about them? What is it that stands out for them, like in what they're doing for me, and how can I learn and nurture what they're doing in order to be where they are, and furthermore, basically to better myself. Comparison would be, you see, this one now is positive. Comparison, I feel, would be, so and so, this is where they're at. I'm not even anywhere. Look at you, you're not a timekeeper. These
But
guys are
that,
timekeepers. We're always late. And, and then it's just detrimental because it's now in the negative sense. And even when I echo it to you, it's like I'm just hammering you as opposed to how can we keep time? Should you get ready before me? Or, should you wake up earlier? How can I support you in order to keep time? Using that example, let's say.
but
How would you define comparison?
comparison is, of course, looking at someone else against your current status quo. So if, let's say, I'm saying there's good and there's bad comparison. So like even they're saying, you don't say that you have compared when you're looking at someone else to improve, but you have still compared. I don't know if you get.
I see where you're
Because
coming
comparison
from.
is comparison.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think maybe why I'm looking at it like that is because I tend to have a firm foundation in what I have, what I believe or what I stand for. A good example could be in dating. Let's say comparison in dating. So I remember, given our story, we were not in a relationship. I decided not to get into a relationship for the longest time possible. And in that time, I was single. But that didn't mean the people around me were single. They were actually in relationships. So there could be a form of comparison to say, so-and-so is getting attention, my friends are being picked and dropped, they're getting gifts, they even they distance themselves from you because obviously they've got, somehow it just happens. They're texting you less, calling you
So
less.
did you feel bad because your friends were being picked up, you were there grabbing
No, I
borders?
didn't actually. I just prayed for them. I prayed that the relationships they're in, like, grow and get to where they want to be, but more so that they know what they're doing.
But why
I wish them
did you
well.
feel bad
Now
at any
that's where I'm
point? That's where I'm
going.
asking.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So why I didn't feel bad was because I was sure of the decision I had made and I had peace with it. No one was able to shake me into getting into a relationship because everyone around me was getting to a relationship. All because there were certain benefits and privileges and things attached to being in a relationship that are not there when you're single. I mean, your bills are taken care of, somehow transport is provided, maybe even airtime, things like that. So in that sense, but then also, I mean, I was being taken care of by my parents. I did not lack, honestly speaking. But again, it goes back to my decision where that time of my life was set aside for God. And I knew there is nothing and no one that can get me into a relationship. So even regardless of the fact that people around me were in relationships, I think you can see that it did not affect me internally. All it did was I wish them the best. How can I help them? How can I be there for them? How can I support them? But then how can I also learn from them? If your friend comes back and say we had a conflict, this and this, to be able to listen, to be there for your friend. But I don't think I really. Otherwise, would have gotten into a relationship much sooner. Or I don't know. Am I answering your question?
Kinda.
Yeah, so being firm in who I am and what I want and knowing where I'm going and having a direction didn't shake me, didn't move me.
I get you with that. And
How was it for you in the dating?
in the dating phase, I think, maybe because sometimes I find myself comparing most times with fellow guys and wanting to be better. Okay? Like there's the good and there's the bad comparison. But sometimes in order to get somewhere, you have to be able to face the reality by looking in your surroundings and realizing, oh, these people are taking these extra strides in their relationships. These people are taking extra strides in their lives. And even now, these people are doing these things in their marriages. And as a result, there's that unknowing or known expectation that I put upon myself to be able to advance forward. I don't know if that makes sense. So like when I would see people, when we got married, we see people are still going out, people are traveling abroad and things like that. For me, it was like, don't lose sight of dating one another or spending time with one another. So comparison then became an opportunity for for learning and improving our relationship. Where, like, remember, there was a time where almost without fail, every month we'd go to the cinema twice.
I think we still do.
We still do.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about flowers.
Like flowers. Even there is also your cakes which disappeared.
Which cakes?
Don't you remember you used to give me cupcakes?
Oh, me giving you. I'm off sugar. But that doesn't mean that.
Now how does that affect
I thought
me?
you meant, but you also used to, we used to go for cake.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then the part which I'm now wondering is
No, COVID
comparison.
happened.
Okay,
I think
COVID
it was,
happened.
yeah.
It's okay, but it has been 2 years since COVID and
I will get you your cupcakes.
fine. Thank you. But that wasn't the goal. But what I wanted to say is there is an element where comparison becomes the pain point of a relationship, be it in marriage or be it in something else, where unknowingly you start looking at the other couples around you and you're like, look at what they are doing and look at where we are. And then you find...
I thought we got married in the same year. Where
you
are we
got married
doing
in the
it?
same year, or even got married before them, or even after them. But you keep on looking at the other person and you're like, these guys have achieved so much, but what have we achieved? Then you start looking at your husband. What's your 5-year plan? Where are we going with this relationship? What are we doing? Are we serious human
I think that
beings?
question is valid. It's just how you bring it in. Yeah. For some of us that like strategies and plans, let's just say the question is valid. But if
The
you're bringing
question
it,
is valid.
if you're bringing it in the environment of comparison, then yes, it wouldn't be good.
But then there's asking those questions, like, here's the part. I am looking forward to our relationship growing to the next level. Let me use comparison actually in like some of the experiences I've had. If I am looking at some of my friends who have a higher level of disposable income, or probably their priorities are very different in their lives at that time. So let's say they are more willing to take the risk to say, you know what, spend all, we shall recover after the trip. Like we are outside
Live
countries.
once.
Live once, then they come back. Besides, no one is going to be at your home every day. So if you're eating your portion and beans, you are eating your portion and beans, but you have your memories. And then I, on the other hand, I'm comparing, yet I want to make sure at home there's a full meal, there's all these things, the environment is okay. I will end up continually seeing the other couples as people who are doing better than us. Yet if we were to look at it in the full picture, they might appear to be doing better in certain facets, but then in other facets we might also appear to be doing better. But then also a big question is, what is better?
No,
what
but you
is
see,
doing better? And that's really comparison in itself. But when it ends up having the element of coveting, which is also one of the commandments in the Bible, you realize that now isn't that comparison to the point of greed and desire.
But that's not right. That's not right. And what you're raising is important because you're saying, as you compare, you don't know the dynamics of the person that you're comparing yourself to.
True.
So you don't have the full picture. So you can't, well, unless you've had a conversation with them, and which is now more like the aspiration, inspiration side, as opposed to that side where we're going nowhere, this is not happening, what's wrong with us, kind of situation. But I think, what would you think are the pitfalls of compare? How would a couple know that they're starting to compare themselves, whether they're in courtship or in marriage? What would be those indicators? What dangers?
Sounds like a social science question. What
It's
are
so
the
simple.
indicators? Oh,
I'm just
what are the
wondering, for
signs
people
and
listening,
symptoms?
people listening to us are possibly wondering, am I doing it? Is this in a good way or is it in a bad way?
I think it becomes something. I think good and bad for comparison is something that is dependent on you and your relationship and how you will take it. Because for some, being able to have that conversation and say, okay, these guys got married 2 years after us. They have since shifted house to a place that's more significant. They are trying to start a family. They have a child and all. And us, we are still here saying, let's go for brunch.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. But if let's say you have gotten married, and the goal sometimes of marriage, one of the things that comes with marriage is expanding your family and being able to continue your bloodline as a couple. And let's say you have taken a decision for a long time not to do it, and or maybe you have decided we're not going to do this, we want to have fun. That's why I'm saying it's good or bad, and comparison is hard to really put. I don't know, what is your thought to your question?
I think for me,
because I've lost your question, and I've gotten lost.
I think for me it's about motive. It's about motive and the attitude of my heart as I'm looking at this individual or this particular couple, but then also where is my direction? Like the example I was giving you when I was single, I knew that I was not getting to a relationship. It was a decision I had made, and I was comfortable with it. I was fully persuaded, and there was no way in or out about it. Now, if a couple, if you know that this is our strategy this year, we're going to do this, and these are our goals, or this is what we've set out to do, no amount of factors, forces outside of you will change that. The danger comes in when now I realize that maybe my friend's husband has bought them a bigger car or a more luxurious car, and then now I come to you and say we have to change our plans. We're not going to do this and this and this. We're not going to buy, plots of land or build or whatever it is we set out to do, because you're going to go take out a loan and actually buy me a different car as well. So you see how then that becomes a danger, because now, first of all, I'm changing what we set out to do, which was our direction, which was our focus, and then it's being affected by another couple or another person or another individual whose dynamics we may not fully know, and as to where they are and what their strategy is and their plans and so on. So I think for me it's motive, attitude, where are you right now, what's your direction at, and once you have that figured out, both as an individual but also as a couple, then it's very easy for you to, as a team, know that, oh, happy for them, that's good. Or even if now it's on the aspiration level where you're learning from them, be like, okay, we can incorporate that in our priorities or next time or things like that, but not to let it immediately shake your world so much that, you're like, our life is ending, this has to change, what are we doing? You have to be confident in.
I get you.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel like using a practical example. I was going to mention the name here, but let me give the story.
Is this your relationship story or?
Maybe I think that one will be a separate thing.
Okay.
The part which I just wanted to mention in line with comparison in a real situation that we have experienced while married was, there's a mutual friend of ours. I think you know the person. And
I did.
I'm sorry, viewers.
No. I'll show you they didn't get that, but okay,
They didn't,
yeah.
because I hope you didn't.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think so.
The time when I met him,
Yeah.
because I don't want to mention names, we don't have his consent to mention his name here. So meeting him the first time, the car which I was aspiring to buy at the time, he had.
Yeah.
Then we, like adult friendships, I don't meet each other every day.
Yeah.
Then I meet him again, and because aspirations keep changing, so I was like, it would be nice to like get into this Range Rover.
Yeah.
And then I called him.
So you're saying
out
it was
of
a
the
Range
blue
Rover,
with-
or you're now just
No, the first one was a
hypothetical
particular Benz.
Oh, okay.
He had it. So we stopped talking for a while. Even remember when he actually said, hey, you can buy this car. And then you're like, we are not buying it. And I'm like, but honey,
These are the things. It's not in your, like, you know how you, exactly, it's a very good example,
Yeah.
because then you come, like something externally shifts your mindset so much that it now has to be the goal. And then when you come to share with me, I'm like, since when has this been in the
get
plan?
you.
Yeah, but go on.
But anyway,
Yeah,
so
but
I
yeah.
meet him, and when my goalposts of the car had shifted to another one, the guy comes in that same other car which I have shifted to. And I'm like, nah, guy. I'm like, I'm very happy for him. And I
Yeah.
was really beating myself up. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think you are.
I need to be better.
Yeah.
Then the next time again I find him, he has also now upgraded. Even when I think like when I'm there thinking, hey man, I should get this car. And I check on him. And that's the car the guy now has. And I'm like, shall a man prosper? Shall a man survive? Just because, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I think that friendship also taught me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I realized that, yes, there are things that he has that I would want, but then I ask myself, from conversations with him, I've realized there are things that I have that he would want far more than the things that he has. And in recognizing that, I recognize that comparison is actually like a lie, because you're always comparing without the full picture.
Yeah.
It's not
The
like you're
dynamics.
comparing facts on a
Yeah.
piece of paper.
Yeah.
You're comparing momentary lapses. It's like Instagram. A person will take a photo and capture them at their very best. Okay, they'll take so many photos, but they'll pick the one which is the very best. Then they'll apply like 1 or 2 or 3 filters, but some of the ladies out there may even Photoshop them, not to whom, whatsoever they want. But then at the end of the day, they are putting out a moment. And then for someone else who is happening to follow them or to look at them, they're like, oh my gosh, my life is a mess. What? But you don't know the person was just literally probably working. They went somewhere for a conference. They stopped somewhere, snapped a picture at some hotel. You're like, man, we have to pack our bags and go somewhere. And like keeping up with the Joneses, that thing. You're trying to keep up with other people. And that's where I think comparison becomes terrible. But when comparison is built into growth, comparison is built into learning, where I see, oh, you have this and I like it.
Yeah.
And how can I learn from you? And have that conversation. It helps us move forward,
Yeah.
even in marriages.
Yeah.
Because I've realized, I think, I had a friend who is not married who I met just a few days back, and I asked him, you are so determined in how you make your friends. You make a friend, and all of us are the person's friend, but you take it to a whole other level. Or you meet someone of great influence in the country, and after like, let's say 6 or 7 months down the road, we see you and him taking trips like up country and all. And I ask myself, how did this happen? You get? But then I asked him and learned from him, and I think that's where it becomes beautiful. And I don't know if I've ever talked.
No, you haven't. You haven't. I think for me, this is my relationship note. Just hearing what you're saying, the grass will always look greener
True.
on the other side. The question is, are you watering your side? And like in those instances where you'd come and you know, share, man, there's this car and there's this, and I just take you back to, I think our goal here is, we decided is asset building or investments, or how is changing vehicles, or in that sense, I don't know how to call it, being hit by this feeling of this car and then hit by this feeling, and then you change and then you change, that will just take us behind on the goal. But then when you focus on the goal, and I think it's important for your spouse to remind you, to encourage you, not that you shouldn't aspire to it, no, but yes, okay, I've noted you love that Benz or you love that particular car, but currently, if we get that, what's the effect on the particular goal we have, which would have been asset building? But can we build our assets to a point that then you can actually get that car and it's a win-win situation? So yeah, back to what I was saying, the grass will always look green, you know, on the side where you have no indication of the dynamics of the situation of that individual or that marriage and what's going on within. Even with the people that open up and share, where you learn from, you may not entirely know their story or their journey,
Yeah.
but you're learning from them. So I guess be true to you. True to you as an individual, as in a relationship, your spouse, and just know that this is who we are, or this is what we've set out to do, and focus on your lane. Like, everyone has a different path, you know, and all of us are called to different things. But now if I start to compare my path with your path, I'm forgetting that your destiny is different and mine is different. So yeah, that's my relationship. Not, what's your relationship not or story?
You mentioned something as you were speaking, and because we are at the notes and stories part, I just remember the conversation I once had with one of my bosses, and I don't know if it's a note or a story, but let me just give it to you either way. My boss mentioned that sometimes the woman that you marry will determine some of the things that you will achieve because of the expectations they will place on you. And as a man with the desire that you have to please your wife, you will go out and get more. I don't know if
Say more,
that makes
because
sense.
I feel like are you implicating me in some sort of way? But
I'm
go on.
implicating you in some sort of way. Those who have ears, let them hear. We do not have a Range Rover because of me not being pushed. But anyway, I'm not saying that is the case.
Or being pushed, you are being pressured. Is that what you mean?
Not necessarily being pressured. I think it's okay. He was giving it as an example. He said he said the two ways to become rich. And I'm not saying this is true. I have to put there as a disclaimer. But what he said is the two ways to become rich are two things. One, get in debt, and you keep on fighting to get out of debt, and as a result, you will accumulate more items and assets, but you keep on running with the debt on your back. But the second one, get a wife or spouse who has a love for the finer things. So as a result, if you love them and your mentality as a man is to provide for them, you will find yourself subconsciously going out and, if let's say you are lions, hunting for more. I'm not saying that...
Isn't that detrimental in the
it's
long run?
detrimental in the long run. But he was giving it as an example. But what I was just saying, maybe which becomes the Noto story, is that the person you marry sometimes will help you or fuel your ambition towards certain goals. If let's say you have sometimes said some things in passing, like when it came to the proposal, you're like, I want a nice proposal. I want it to be fun, creative.
No, I said I want
but
private.
I don't want a lot of people. I want it private. Then you said it would be nice to have a gold ring. And then you said it would also be nice to have pictures of the moment taken.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I knew those were your non-negotiables. So when I went out and looked for all those things to make the proposal a reality, I was thinking in line with that. And so I tried to go above and beyond to make that a reality for you.
I don't think it was. What did it was it?
I like the
Pressure?
way that you can
Like-
downplay a lot of things I do. I am very romantic, by the way. You should go on the streets of Kampala and look for men. But
No, I'm not saying you. No, I'm listening to you, and it makes it sound like I gave you a to-do list, or I
no,
gave
you gave
you a.
me expectations.
I think I shared
or
with you that it would have
desires.
been. It would be nice for it to be memorable, and
No, you never
I
ever
said-
mentioned the word memorable.
okay, it's okay.
Said quiet, pictures,
Exactly.
and
Nice.
gold ring.
Exactly. But you see, but what you said earlier was it has to be nice. It has to be.
Because you mentioned it, even though you said it as nice,
Yeah.
I'm like, it has to be nice.
Oh, so you took it to another level. That's what
it
I'm trying to
becomes
say
you as a request. Your requests become expectations.
for you.
Your desires and wishes become something that I will work towards. I'm not saying that only applies to me, but many guys will do that.
True.
If even some of the guys, if you ask them, if a chick who likes them said, I would like to go to this place,
They would do
and
everything.
they would find a way to try and see
Yeah.
how they get the chick to that place, or
Yeah.
how both of them get to that place, even though it's not innately something that they would do.
But therein lies the danger as well.
Yes, there they realize the danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could, back to what you were saying, the lady you choose to marry can either, because it can break you.
It can break you.
It can really
but
break
it
you
can also
and break your
motivate you.
relationship, depending. Because if I know that this is our current situation, we've just both graduated from the university, this is where we're at, and I'm telling you, I need to eat out every day. We won't be cooking dinner at home. We need to hire a chef. We need, setting certain standards when I clearly see, yes, it may make you aspire, but I don't know if you realize that it could also break you. Because there's being realistic.
I agree with you. It can start the breaking, but don't you think it can also start the process of building?
It can, depending on how I front it. So if every day I come back and I'm like, how far with this car?
Oh,
where
now
is
if you
our
do it
chef?
like that, now that
Where
moves
is
into
it?
nagging.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Attitude,
but like
motivation.
those things are achievable. Let me
Yeah,
just
they
break
are.
it down for you. Like, you want to go and eat out every day?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go to the market. There's Nalongo there somewhere.
no.
You want a chef at home? We can have a picture of a chef, ratatouille. You want catch you
Until
next time
on relationship notes and stories.